drawing these sort of like glyphs that nobody really used into integrated into the glyph itself. And then I guess as a type designer, then I was just having myself to rely on, there was almost like no support. I was just like, these are the sort of like very solitary journey that I have with myself, like trying to explore these sort of shapes. And then very lucky that, the typeface turned out pretty well. And I think also during that time of TypeWest, we were introduced into this concept of just taking something very simple. I also really resonate with this approach. I think it's very well executed by one of my idols, who is Tetsuo Suzuki. I think it's just like with the annual calendar that he have, he usually just take like visual reference from nature, from whatever like pieces of stuff that he find on the street. And then this is one of the explorations for the experimental typeface. That's from the Venus flytrap. And you can see here that, throughout the drawings that I did starting to explore these sort of shapes that resemble the natural, I guess, like the constructions of the planet itself. And then, but like later on when I realized that, these sort of typeface, the rules I have like created for myself cannot be actually, very well executed on papers, then I turned to digital, to glyphs, and then finally able to start like experimenting with the typeface itself. So the second project that I want to introduce today is Venus flytrap. This is unfortunately still an ongoing typeface because this takes forever to be finished. And I think that's the same with a lot of the self-initiated project. The grid structure itself is starting from these two parts that sort of like coming together. And then these sort of like imaginary grid system is being translated into these sort of characters, as you can see, where you can have like different components that coming in together. And I think that one of the key, results that I want to do is to keep the textures of the typeface as even as possible. And then when it comes to the more like, curvy characters, it's, you do need to have a little bit of personalization and also like coming in and then actually like manually adjust it. A lot of people ask me like whether I was using a script for this one, but actually I was just doing by hand. A lot of copy and paste, yes, but I did have a lot of fun exploring this. And then when it comes to the diacritics, I do think that as a Vietnamese and also as a type designer, we will often ask that, how do you do diacritics in Vietnamese and also in other languages? But I do feel like these are the sort of experimentations that I want to, taking the very simple logic of a typeface and then, and then execute it in a more like microscopic level with the diacritics, with other characters. But also, we're exploring with the glyph that nobody really used in such display typeface like this one, a trademark, and then these are some of the, ongoing typeface. And then the third project that I want to bring forward is actually DiaType. So in 2024, I had an immense opportunity to collaborate with DiaType on expanding the Vietnamese language. And just to talk a little bit about the DiaType from a very technical point of view, it has 58 different masters, and then in which, there's a lot of variations. And when it comes to the Vietnamese, they did have a sort of like a very rough sketch of like how the Vietnamese is looking. But actually, when you are dealing with Vietnamese in essence, you're having to do two different sort of like diacritic sets. One for the uppercase, and then one for the lowercase. And then when you start into, because of the Vietnamese and then the double stack diacritics, then you do realize that these sorts of problems starting to accumulate and also to snowball into a much bigger problems that I see. And then I think like one of the very early questions that I have in this project is like, should I just take whatever Dynamo was giving me and then just use those components into like integrating and then just combining them to save me time? But actually, I was just thinking that as a Vietnamese, we do have the voice and also the freedom to explore and also to refine these sort of diacritics in order for them to sort of like work together well. But that also creates such a problem as in each masters, I'll be drawing 6 different tilde for one master. So when you multiply 6 by 58, and this is just the tilde itself, you started to, encounter much bigger problems. But I think like I'm just like thanking to the team of Dynamo that they were very patient and also very supportive. Also give me a lot of I guess encouragement when it comes to the practice, a lot of feedback as well. I usually just view Vietnamese as something that I understand. But I think from their point of view that I realized that, if you view it from a very textual point of view, you start to realize, inconsistency, questions, and then this sort of like collaborative spirit was actually, I guess, translated into the final result itself. And then I think one of the last projects that I wanted to introduce to you, maybe some of you might know, some of you might not, is the project Liu Tu. Liu Tu is the archive that was started by Lê Quốc Huy in 2015 as his personal project. But I think, with the curiosity for archiving the Vietnamese typographic, also graphic design history, I think that sort of like questions always been at the back of his mind. And also in 2020, he did reach out to me. I mean, we were working together at Bay Saigon crossover for like 6 months. But in 2020, he did ask me and also a few other members to join on this discovery of the richness of the graphic design scene here. And then we did really just having these impromptu weekend meeting every Sunday for 2 hours, just talk about like what we find interesting. And then throughout the time we managed to collect more and more materials and also like starting to explore and also expanding on the library that we have. To be honest, like people often ask us to share more about the project, but as practitioners, but also people who are very invested in the graphic design scene, we do feel like imposters sometimes where we feel like the materials that we collected, we haven't managed to go through everything. Hence, the knowledge that we have is not much more than what you guys know about Vietnamese graphic design history. We also built a website which is done by Thi Ha, who's here with us today. Unfortunately, even though that you see that there's a English tab for it, but these are just translated by Google. So we also wanted to take this opportunity to say that we will be working on English translation. We're not going to say that we're going to do it soon because it's also a lot of work of like archiving and then working through the collections. But we hope that we can introduce this to a more international audience in the future. And the last line, I just wanted to say that I think with a little bit of curiosity, a little bit of stubbornness, and also a little bit of delusion, it can take you really far. I think it's just like starting out with something like this, and then I think right now it just this is the mark of the current state of like how I'm doing my craft. So thank you for very much for listening.